Sorry, little boy. I didn't see you there. Sorry. It's actually Hosana. It's not Tingana. Or Thamba, actually. It is Thamba. So this is Thamba. It's not Tingana or Hosana. It's just that he's got massive feet again, so he's fooled a whole bunch of other people. But that is Thamba. It's not Tingana at all. I think it's Thamba. We'll have to just get another view of him.
Got another leopard over there, no?
They've got another one over there? Maybe. Maybe it's Thandi and Thamba. That would make a lot of sense. Well, this is cool. I'm super excited if it is little Thamba. He's just sort of strolling in front of us. Now, I just want to ask Mark if he's got another leopard, because Mark's the guy that's with us in the sighting. Mark. Do you have another Ingwe where you are? Okay, I've got one young Madoda here. Thank you. So that is definitely little Thamba. You can see those light-coloured eyes, that pink nose, and those bright black markings around the face. So Thamba is still around this area. Now, yesterday somebody gave us a report that Thandi and Thamba's tracks were at Chitwa. It seems as though that is not the case. Now, I wonder if Tingana was also around this area as well. But that is most definitely Thamba. Recognize that beautiful face anyway, hey Seb? Oh, he is magnificent, and look at him in this morning light. Yes, I think Ali and Taylor will both be very jealous. Megan is just saying to me that that's their bogey animal for both of them. I think Taylor's only seen him twice and has never seen Thandi apparently, which is crazy to think that, you know, she's been here a lot longer than I have, and I've had quite a few sightings of Thandi already, and Ali hasn't seen Thandi either, so that both of them are in for a treat when they do see Thandi. She's a beautiful female, and my favourite of the females that we see out here, so hopefully they'll both get to see her. But he is magnificent. Now, I think he's in a state of much like what the elephant was doing and going to the toilet just now, so I think he's just caught in a bad place at this stage, but I'm sure he'll move from where he is. Not that I'm complaining, because it's a perfect view for us. He came out from behind that thicket, and isn't he magnificent? He is one of the most beautiful leopards you could ever wish for. And it's amazing how big his feet are. You know, Hosana's got biggish feet, but this guy's feet, they really do look as though they're almost Tingana size. You get confused with his feet often. I know that a lot of the trackers out here have all said to me that it's Tingana's tracks, and well, there we go. The tracks that we followed were for a male leopard, and they just turned off the bush. And I wonder if he didn't hear our vehicle and he just came off and turned off before we got here. And if we had actually just looked, we might have spotted him. Where are you off to? You coming to say hello? A lot of you say he looks quite tired. I agree with you. He does look as though he's had a long day. Are you coming to say hello, big boy? Yes, you are. He is so cool. The more I see this cat, the more fond of him I become. He looks very good as well. Look, he's got a little bulge to his belly, so he's obviously had a good meal somewhere recently. So maybe eating and kind of moving around. See, he's sniffing. So this is all new areas for him, and it's amazing how much time they've been spending around here. It's definitely here a lot more than we've actually been finding them. It's time to actually start concentrating and try to find them every day, because they seem to be here most days. And he's now heading back down towards the road. I wonder if he's not going to make another dam cam appearance. I wonder if he wasn't the one that was actually walked across the dam wall. It must be him, because the tracks come from there. I followed those tracks all the way along Central, which comes from the dam wall itself. So it must be from where he came. Seb, that's awesome, isn't it? When we see this little boy, I always get so excited. He's such a good-looking leopard, and he seems to always be up to something. And, well, there we go. So, Djuma spots and Mara tawny-coloured lions, and that's then a perfect way to start a cat today. Oh, now I'm trying to get over a big branch, but Rusty doesn't want to go over. Come on, Rusty. So while we try and sort of keep up with little Thamba, because he's going to go into some horrible bush, let's go back to Steph and see how he's doing and where he is. And what we're doing, he's such a beautiful cat, and he's now just sitting on top of a termite mound. He chased a little dwarf mongoose quickly into a hole and then couldn't get to it, and he's now decided, well, this is where I'm going to recline and enjoy my rest for the day. So he's now having a really good grooming session, and you can see just how well he blends in this grass. Isn't that amazing? It's the same color. That coat is almost perfectly matched to the color of the grass that he's lying in, and it's why we probably drove past him, and we just literally looked straight past him instead of actually looking properly. We just kind of drove past him, and I honestly thought it was Tingana, which is a bit of a rookie error in that his tracks, while they are quite big, are not quite that big just yet. And I suppose it's just you kind of get excited about it when you have Tingana on the brain, you forget about it. And I thought Tingana would have moved a lot further, and that's why I didn't actually check those tracks, but I should have checked properly, because I even said to Seb that I wonder if he's not lying down in here, but we'll just check around and make sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter, we at least got to find him, which is fantastic. But isn't he beautiful? And you can see he's becoming so relaxed now. He's not worried about the vehicles at all. It was amazing when these two, when he was still with his sibling, who was unfortunately killed, and they were young, they were petrified of cars. They used to run. They never used to have any sort of good sightings. And I remember trying to see them when they were tiny, and every time I tried to get there, they would just have run away before we could get there, and we never really got a sighting of them. And the first time I actually saw him was only when I joined Safari Live, even though there were multiple sightings of Tundi, but the cubs always used to run away. So it's really nice to see that he's gotten a lot more relaxed now that he's spent a little bit of time. Oh, is your shoulder difficult to get to? And that's how you groom your back, apparently. That's so cool. Well, I can just see him falling over if he does this too much. That's so cool. I think that's where he's going to probably lie for the morning, although he's quite a busy cat. So remember the other day when we left him behind the dam wall, there was no sign of him that afternoon. He seems to move around all over the place, and to find him in here is next to impossible, unless he's walking close to the road or he lies down and stays here the whole day. The girls are going to have a very tough time to find him in here. It is thick. The elephants have pushed over I don't even know how many trees. It's almost impossible to get the car past here, and so if he moves down towards the drainage section, it's going to be a tough time to find him. And also if Tundi comes back and takes him somewhere. Interestingly though, there's no tracks for Tundi, and like I say, they was said that there was tracks for these two going to Chitwa Dam yesterday, but we haven't found a single track for a female coming back this way or a young male, and so I'm not sure that it was Tundi and Thamba's tracks. I think maybe, just maybe, it could have been Tundi. Well, what are you watching? Are you watching a fly? There's something buzzing around his head that's got him very alert. See, there we go. See if he's quick enough to actually grab it. But I think yesterday, like going back to those tracks, is that those tracks were for Tingana and for Tundi walking down towards Chitwa Dam, and not for Thamba, because Tingana was eventually found on Nkoro, so it would make more sense than these two. And like I said, there's no tracks of Tundi anywhere in this area this morning coming back this side. It's just tracks for him, and we know that they've been hanging around here, and I would be very surprised if they haven't been here, in fact, every day, and we've just been not being able to find them because of the area that it's in. Isn't he beautiful? Now, he's typical young leopard. You see how he chases things and then, well, it's back to sleep straight away. So he's got that youthful exuberance and really is exercising it to the best of his ability. Now, we're going to sit with him and just enjoy this peaceful scene that is Thamba grooming himself. And while we do, I believe Stefan has still got those zebras that are entertaining themselves with their rubbing post. Well, he's not scratching, but he's grooming, and shame, he was all tucked up and flat and looked as though he was about to go fast asleep, and the flies have been driving him crazy, so he's been trying to catch them, and every now and then he's been grooming, and there's been lots of shaking of head and twitching of ears and all kinds of sort of biting at the air, and it's not gone well. But look at the size of his feet. Now that his paw's just gone back down into the grass, but it was really nice just now. He had his paw up against his head, and you could see his paw was almost the same size as his muzzle. It was quite amazing to actually see how big those paws are for such a young leopard. We know he's only turning a year old in July, so that means that, he's not even a year yet, and his paws are huge. Although it's the 1st of July today, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is the 1st of July today, so his birthday is coming up. We don't know exactly when he was born in July. We just know the first reports of them were in July, so somewhere around now would be his birthday. So happy birthday, young man. It's a year old, and, well, you are in as good a condition as a year-old leopard could ever be, so you are doing very well. It's also interesting just to see how little we've seen Thandi with him at the moment. We've had quite a few sightings of him, but not very much of actually Thandi spending too much time around him. And we know that as he sort of starts to get older now, so the time with him is going to be less and less and less. He's still reliant on her, and she still does look after him because we see them walking around together every now and then, but the time spent with her is getting a bit less. Look at the size of that. You see how big that is? He has got massive feet for his age. Now, if he grows into those, he's going to be a very big boy. You can see in relation to the size of his body just how big those paws are. I actually would really love to find a sighting of Tingana and Thamba somewhere in the same area where I could find the tracks for both of them and measure them out and just see whose are actually, or how much bigger Tingana's are. I'm sure Tingana's are a little bit bigger, but I don't think by much. And it's quite interesting just to see the sort of size difference between his and Hasana's foot. Hasana still doesn't look like a young male, whereas Thamba's, I know it's confused multiple different people already, and well, it certainly confused us this morning. I was sure that those were Tingana's tracks. But I suppose when you've got nothing to compare them to, it does sometimes happen. But he's definitely wanting to sleep, and you can see how difficult it would be to spot this animal. If he stops moving his head and he puts his head flat, imagine trying to spot that while driving. It is almost invisible when he lies in the grass like this. When his head moves, it's much easier because obviously you pick up that movement, but as soon as his head goes down, he just melts into that grass and he becomes almost just part of it, and it's very hard to see that there's actually a leopard there. Now, Seb and I were discussing how we can ID Thamba even from the back of his head, and if you look on his left ear there, he's got a very interesting set of spots now. Now he's shaking his head, but there we go. You see that one spot just on the top of his left ear? It is very indicative of Thamba. No other leopard that we've seen here has that perfect spot on the left ear, just as it kind of joins onto the head. And so, oh, there it is. You see them? It's a perfect spot just on the top of his ear that you can ID him just from the back if you wanted to. So hopefully some of you got screenshots and you'll be able to use that next time he's in a difficult, precarious place and all you can see is the left ear. We'll be able to ID him from that. Shame, my boy. Are the flies giving you trouble today? So, Sammy Jane, you say apparently their tongue is like sandpaper. Well, it is. It has got these fine hairs on them that are very rigid, and those hairs are very rough, and they need that because, one, when they groom themselves, it gets rid of all the loose fur. It's like a brush, and it can keep their fur in good condition and keep their coat shiny and healthy and get rid of parasites that they might pick up. And two, when they're feeding, they'll use that rough tongue to lick off pieces of meat off the bone, as well as get rid of the fur of the animal, because they ultimately don't want to eat the fur of an impala or a bushbuck or nyala, because that's just going to take up space in the stomach and is very difficult to digest. So they use that very rough tongue to pull and brush off that fur basically and expose the skin, and then they feed off it through that so that they don't actually have to eat too much of the fur itself, as well as the fact that they can then groom themselves and make themselves nice and clean as well. So it is very hooked and very rough. So Mary, you say he blends so well into the grass's color. He does. Isn't it amazing just how perfect the coloration is for a leopard? You can see why they blend in and why they can be so difficult to find. Like I say, if you're driving past at 10 miles an hour past this area, you're really going to struggle to see that, especially when he lies down flat. And if his ear stops twitching, that moment there, you can see he just looks part of the furniture, doesn't he? He looks as though he's actually part of the mound itself. So they are perfectly designed to blend in, and they have to be, because remember, a leopard is not as fast as a cheetah or a lion even. It's a little bit slower than that, and so it has to be able to get very close and ambush its prey, and it needs to be able to blend in with its surroundings so that it can get within 3-4 meters of its prey and then explode out with that powerful boost that it gets from those big powerful legs and catch that animal unawares. So its coloration has to be perfect, and well, those black dots just help to blend in even further. Now, little Thamba will have not known the animal that Steph has gotten with him, but it is one of the fastest antelope in the world, and so let's go across to Steph and have a little look. Gremlins have migrated to the Mara, much like the zebra and wildebeest, and have attacked Steph, but it's okay. Steph will beat them off. If anyone can do it, it's definitely him. After all his self-defense classes that he's taken, Steph is quite the man when it comes to keeping gremlins at bay, so I'm pretty sure he'll fend them off fairly quickly and be back with us just now. As you can see, little Thamba has had all too long an evening and is now completely tired and has tucked himself away in the grass and is going to have himself a very nice nap. I highly doubt he'll still be here in the afternoon, given that the sun is going to get up, but it feels like it's going to be quite a warm day today. There's no wind to speak of as yet. It's still sunny, it's bright, and so I don't think he's going to really spend too much time here. I think he'll have a good nap, and then by this afternoon he probably will have found himself some shade. The problem is where we are here with Seb and I were just talking about it, it is almost impossible to maneuver inside here. The elephants during last year's drought pushed over so many trees, and you can't actually see a lot of the stumps in this long grass, and it makes it very difficult to negotiate. And I think the vehicles themselves, if he had to have gone mobile and moved a little bit more than what we had him this morning, I think we would have struggled to keep up with him, that's for sure. So hopefully, for the girl's sake, that he does lie just somewhere in the shade on this mound and he's still here this afternoon. I do hope that is the case, since he is flat, and as you've all commented, he looks quite sleepy this morning, so I'm hoping that will be the case. But he is definitely out for the count for today. It's as much as I think we're going to get out of Thamba is what we had just now, and well, it was still fantastic to see him, and at least we got him walking around, and he gave us a beautiful show as he went up onto the mound and then catching insects and grooming. So I think he's earned his little bit of rest this morning. Seb, should we leave him there? I think we should.
I think we should.
I think that's about it. Now I'm going to